Good evening, student. Welcome to today class. Today we will discuss introduction scale. Learning objective of our today lecture to understand the meaning of micro teaching, to acknowledge the importance of micro teaching, to identify the goal and objective of introduction skills. The student will be analyze and understand the introduction skill. First, we will discuss micro teaching. Dr. Allen and his group evolved micro teaching in 1963 in America. Micro teaching is a technique aiming to prepare teacher candidate to the real classroom setting according to Thompson and Brent 1996. Micro teaching can also define as a teaching technique especially used in teacher pre-service education to train them systematically by allowing them to experiment main teacher behavior. By the help of this technique, teacher candidate can experiment and learn each of the teaching scale by breaking them into smaller part and without encountering chalk yeah, environment of the crowded classes. In 1963, micro teaching has been become an established teacher training process in many university and school districts. This training procedure is graded towards simplification of the complexity of the regular teaching learning process. Class size, time, task, and the content are scaled down to provide optimum training environment. The supervisor demonstrate the skills of to be practiced. This may be live demonstration or a video presentation of the skill. Then the group of members select a topic and prepare a lesson of 5 to 10 minutes. The teacher trainee the opportunities to practice and evaluate is use of the skills. Practice take the form of a 10-minute micro teaching session in which 5 to 10 pupils are involved. What is micro teaching? Teaching of a small unit of content to the small group of students, 10 to 6 to 10 members in a small amount of time, 5 to 10 minutes. To train inexperiences student teacher for acquiring teaching skill. To improve the skill of experienced teachers. Definition of micro teaching. Micro teaching is a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and class time, according to Alan DW. According to Pasi BK and Lalita MS, micro teaching is a training technique which require student teacher to teach a single concept using specified teaching skills to a number of pupils in a short duration of time. Micro teaching cycle. Uh, Steps of micro teaching cycle can be divided in 6 parts. First, micro lesson plan may take 2 hours a day. Second steps, teach 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. Or step third, feedback session 5 minutes. Then step fourth, replan 10 minutes. And step fifth, reteach another group 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. Or step six, re-feedback 5 minutes. Total minute approximately 30 minutes. So this process is continuous going on until the pupil teacher get the confidence and get the or skills in particular teaching skills. This is the cycle of micro teaching as you are watching in my PPT. First step is plan, then teach. Second step is feedback. The fourth step is replan, and fifth step is reteach, and sixth step is feedback. The arrow shows this is the continuous process. Now we will discuss characteristics of micro teaching. Content is divided into smaller units because as we discuss micro teaching time should be 5 to 7 minutes, so content should be divided into smaller unit. Next characteristics of micro teaching, only one teaching scale is considered at a time. Next characteristics of micro teaching, provision of immediate feedback. In micro teaching, immediate feedback given by the expert teacher. According to feedback, student replan his micro teaching plan. In micro teaching cycle, there is a facility of replanning, reteaching, and re-evaluation. It put the teacher under the microscope. In micro teaching, expert teacher observe the pupil teacher, and according to observation, teacher gave the feedback. So micro teaching put the teacher under the microscope. All the fault of the teacher are observed. The problem of discipline can also be controlled. Duration of teaching as well as number of students are less. Duration of teaching 5 to 7 minutes, or generally 5 to 10 students included in one micro teaching uh, session. So the all process is scaled down in micro teaching. Time, uh, content, or we can say number of students. So all these three things are scaled down in micro teaching. Now we will do comparison between the micro teaching and traditional teaching. Traditional teaching class consists of 40 to 60 students. Class in micro teaching class consists of small group of 10 to 6 to 10 students. In traditional teaching, the teacher practice several skills at a time. In micro teaching, the teacher take up one skill at a time. The duration in traditional teaching 40 to 45 minutes. The duration in micro teaching for the teaching 5 to 7 minutes. In traditional teaching, there is no provision of immediate feedback. Immediate feedback is not available in traditional teaching, but in micro teaching, there is immediate feedback available. According to feedback, pupil teacher change or replan uh, his or her micro teaching plan. So these are the basic difference between traditional teaching or micro teaching. Teaching skills. Teaching is the art of blending knowledge, art, science, and creativity. It constitute a number of verbal and non-verbal acts. The set of related behavior or teaching acts aiming at specific objectives and perform with an intention to facilitate pupils' learning can be called teaching skill. Dr. Passy in 1976 has described the following 13 skills as follows. Writing instructional objective. Next, it means second skill, introducing a lesson. Number third, fluency in questioning. Number four, probing questions. Number fifth, explaining. Number six, illustrating with example. Number seven, stimulus variation. Number eight, silence and non-verbal cues. Number nine, reinforcement. Number 10, increasing pupil preparation. Number 11, using blackboard. Number 10, achieving closure. And last is recognizing attending behavior. These all 13 teaching skills described by Dr. Pasi in 1976. Today, we will discuss introduction skill. The introduction provides interest and motivation to the student. It focuses student attention on the lesson and its purpose. It also convinces student that they will benefit from the lesson. So first is introduction provide interest, and he motivate the student, uh, focus the student attention on the lesson, and convince student they will benefit from the lesson. Success of the teaching a lesson depend on its introduction. As we all know, uh, when we saw our cover page is beautiful and attractive, we will definitely open the book and read out as according uh, uh, introduction scale. The success of lesson plan depend on its introduction. If the introduction is very good, then the lesson plan will be very success. The attention of the student towards learning and the matter start with the introduction of the lesson. In social study, the new knowledge may be properly linked with the existing knowledge related to the present content, and the teacher has to proceed from known to unknown. It means teacher link the knowledge of the known to unknown knowledge. The scale of introducing a lesson establish rapport with the learner and the facility connection on his teaching. Effectiveness of introducing a lesson depends on the maximum use of previous knowledge and attention gained of the learner, adapting appropriate device, continuity, and relevant. Introducing a lesson significantly influence the learning of a new lesson. Meaning of introduction scale. Introductory scale is the first scale to practice. This is the scale where a student teacher makes an attempt to create interest in teaching his class. It involves establishing reports with the learner, promoting their attention, and exposing them to essential contents. It is concerned with the lesson any eh, um, initiation. It may be defined as proficiency in the use of verbal and non-verbal behavior, teaching aids and appropriate techniques for making pupils to realize the need of studying the lesson. Now we will discuss objective of introducing a scale. To prepare student mentally for learning. To focus the attention of a student towards the content. To know about the previous knowledge. An introduction skill. Teacher try to link between known to unknown knowledge. So to know the first teacher know the previous knowledge of the student. To create curiosity for new subject. To establish a link between what they know and what they going to learn. Things to remember whenever uh, practice on introduction skill. Do not start your teaching directly. Try to be casual to them. This can be done by asking, how are you? Had your breakfast? And ask other question. Uh, uh, Previous assignments, homework, and other things. Write the date on the top left corner, name of the subject in the middle, and standard on the uh, right corner of the board. Do not tell the title of the unit uh, or After the introduction scale, you should write down the uh, title of the unit in the middle of the blackboard. Be pleasant. So these things you should or we should remember when going into the class or using introduction scale or to teach a student. Component of introduction scale. First, use of previous knowledge. Primarily, attention gaining. Use of appropriate device. Third component is use of appropriate device. Next component is RO using motivation. Next component of introduction scale is prevalence and continuity or sequencing of question and statement. So introduction scales have 5 components. Now we will discuss all 5 components in detail. Previous knowledge of a student refer to the level of achievement from previous experiences. Testing the previous knowledge of a student help the teacher to establish interaction between the pre existing knowledge that the teacher want to impart. Through the scales, the teacher know the status of the motivation, intellectual ability, and socio-culture background of the student. Second component of introduction scale is primarily attention gaining. In the beginning of the lesson, the student may not be in attentive mood, being mentally unprepared for learning. The teacher's duty is to create desire for learning among the student. The teacher attract the student towards his teaching by doing some attractive activity and creating curiosity. To gain attention at the primary stage, interest or curiosity should be uh, arrow used among the student. The teacher can employ different uh, attention attracting activity such as telling a story, recalling the previous experience, etc. The third component of introduction scale is use appropriate device. The teacher should make use of appropriate device or technique while introducing a lesson to motivate the student. The teacher create such a situation by use of different types of device such as following: questioning, easiest method uh, and to know the previous knowledge of the student. Questioning, uh, generally we are using probing question in introduction scale. Use of example, next is analogies, uh, similarities, storytelling. Storytelling is basically more interested in elementary school or education. In elementary school or education, student like story, so use storytelling in introduction skill. Describing related instances, lecturing, describing, narrating. Use of audio visual aids, and sometimes teacher use audio visual aid in introduction scale to attract a student for content. Role playing, dramatization, demonstration, experiment are these are the situations or create by the situation. uh, Teacher, they use different types of devices in order to motivate the learner. The use of such devices should be suitable to the age, experience, and maturity, etc., of the learner. Because according to the student, we choose appropriate device. The device could be relevant only if they are related to the aim of the lesson and content. Unrelated device confuse the learner and do not contribute towards establish a healthy uh, rapport with them. Next component of introduction scale is arrow using motivation AM. The teaching should link the required previous knowledge and the present knowledge with motivation in introducing a lesson. The teacher should use the questions or activity to motivate the student towards the current topic or concept before declaring the topic or lesson. Last or fifth component of the introduction scale is relevance and continuity, or we can say sequencing of question and statement. The teacher should use relevant and sequence question to recall previous knowledge, to generate motivation, to watch the lesson and attract attention of the student. Topic declaration. The teacher should declare the topic or lesson after introducing the lesson. It indicates by the beginning of presentation of the lesson. By this topic declaration, the student understand what they are going to learn in that period. When teacher declaring the topic, he or she uh, should write down the topic on the middle of the blackboard and announcing today we will discuss this topic. These are the references of micro teaching skills and introduction skill you should go through for further more detailed knowledge of the topic. Now, time for MCQs. Duration of a lesson in micro lesson plan is option A, 5 to 10 minutes. Option B, 10 to 20 minutes. Option C, 20 to 30 minutes. Option D, 35 to 45 minutes. You have 4 options. Choose appropriate answer. We already discussed the time of micro lesson plan in our previous slides. To maintain interest among students in the class, the teacher should option A, discuss with the student. Option B, ask a question from the student. Option C, use blackboard. Or option D, tell stories to student. Choose appropriate answer and send me your answer in my comment box. Next MCQs. Micro teaching started in option A in 1960, option B 1965, option C 1976, and option D 1978. Choose appropriate answer. Next MCQs. Micro teaching focus on the competency over option A, method, option B, scale, option C, content, option D, none of the above. Next MCQs. Micro teaching is a teaching training technique. Option B, teacher method. Option C, motivational technique. And option D, none of the above. So choose appropriate answer. We discussed this topic already in our this lecture. Next MCQs is, what is the number of student in micro teaching? Option A, 5 to 10. Option B, 1 to 5. Option C, 20 to 25. Option D, 25 to 30. You have 4 options. Choose appropriate answer. Next MCQs, the attention of the student toward learning the matter. Start with the option A, demonstration of lesson. Option B, explanation of the lesson. Option C, blackboard work. And option D, introduction of the lesson. So choose correct answer. As we discuss in our today lecture, we discuss only one skill. Next MCQs, what is the most important while writing on blackboard? Option A, writing in a small letter. Option B, clarity in writing. Option C, good writing. Option D, writing in big letter. So choose appropriate answer. You have 4 options. Next MCQs, how much knowledge is gained through sense of seeing? Option A, 75%. Option B, 13%. Option C, 6%. Option D, 3%. So choose appropriate answer. Next MCQs, what is the merit of micro teaching? Option A, feedback help in the improvement of the method of teaching. Next, B option is, due to shortage of time, you divide the lesson plan into small units and thus gain mastery over the content. Option C, it helps in self-evaluation and teacher build up confidence in that. Next option, all of the above. Choose appropriate answer and send me in my comment box. I will definitely check your answer. And so today we will discuss micro teaching. What is micro teaching? And then we saw or discuss definition of micro teaching. We discussed the Allen DW or Pasi BK and Lalit MS definitions. Then we discuss micro teaching cycle. Then we discuss micro teaching characteristics. Then we compare the micro teaching and traditional teaching. Then we discuss teaching skills. In teaching skills, we discuss Dr. Pasi described uh, teaching skills. Then we discuss the introduction skills, uh, meaning of introduction skills, objective of introduction skills. Then we discuss things to be remember when uh, using introduction skills or teaching in the class. Then we discuss component of the introduction skills. We discuss all 5 components in detail using previous knowledge, familiar attention gaining, use of appropriate device, arrow using motivation, relevance and continuity or sequence of questioning and statement. We discuss all 5 components in detail. Then we discuss topic declaration after the introduction of the skill. Then we discuss MCQs. Uh, Thank you, student. You listen me patiently. Have a good day.